past 7. Now, more good news here. Prostate cancer is something that we've talked about a lot here on Breakfast recently. It's the most prominent cancer affecting men. Every year here in the UK, 40,000 men are diagnosed with it. But there's some good news because a new test to help speed up the diagnosis of prostate cancer is being developed right here in Lancashire. Aren't we good? Researchers and scientists at the University of Central Lancashire have been working on the test, and Dr Carole Rolph is a senior lecturer in Clinical Biochemistry from UCLan and joins us live on Breakfast this morning. Good morning.
Good morning, Graham.
Tell me about the test. How's it going to work?
Well, the test itself is a non-invasive test, so our patients won't actually have to have a blood sample taken, and we can use other biological fluids. And basically, the test will measure biomarkers that get released into these fluids when the tissues become cancerous.
How long have you been working on this?
Okay, well, the original test and the design is actually credited to Cambridge Oncometrics. We've recently come on board, and where UCLan comes to the fore really is to actually help the company validate and verify this new test such that it can go ahead into clinical trials.
And you think that this potentially could save lives? Because in any forms of cancer, it's all about getting a diagnosis early, isn't it?
Yes, and also getting an accurate diagnosis as well. To give you an example, if you had 10 men selected to go forward for testing for prostate cancer, the current test will only give a correct diagnosis for 6 of those individuals.
Oh, right.
So we have 4 individuals who may be inappropriately treated or not treated at all. Our current test that we're now working on, basically there is a strong indication that if we had the same 10 individuals, 9 of those individuals would be given a correct diagnosis.
Right, because at the moment, men are encouraged to have this simple, is it a PSA blood test, are they?
Yes, that's right. It's a PSA test.
And is that 100% certain?
Whether they're encouraged?
Yeah.
Well, they're not encouraged really at all. That's one of the biggest problems. Men are entitled to have a PSA test over the age of 50,
right?
But GPs are quite reluctant to actually advise patients to have this test due to the fact that I mentioned previously, 4 out of 10 of those individuals won't have a correct diagnosis.
Okay, right. And the thing that you're working on will hopefully drastically reduce that.
Oh yeah, kind of like as I've just mentioned, at the moment the test is such that 9 out of 10 of those individuals will receive a correct diagnosis, and hence they will be actually treated earlier on in their disease process.
This is such a big killer of men, isn't it? It's men of a certain age who are not growing up, who are not getting old to see their children grow up, to see their children getting married, the things like this. So many young granddads are dying of this, aren't they?
Yeah, and this is the issue. The impact that this disease actually has, obviously for the patient, but also on the patient's family, is immense. And the sooner we can actually get in there and start the correct treatment, the better life will be for everybody all concerned.
Well, brilliant. Keep on working hard. That is Dr Carole Rolph from the University of Central Lancashire. And, of course, we are planning something as well. We are planning our own kind of prostate cancer awareness day where you can come and get checked up as well, because it touches so many people's lives. And if it's caught early enough, if it's diagnosed early, then they can do something about it. And people live relatively normal lives. Some people live relatively normal lives with it. And if it's caught early, it can be taken away. And let's it's too many granddads. I'm not growing up to see their kids get married and their children do marvellous things, because blokes don't like talking about health issues, do they? Right now, it is 7:15. Good morning. Joining me in the studio is Kevin Vardy, who has terminal prostate cancer, whose online campaign to introduce a national prostate screening programme has attracted more than 50,000 signatures.
53,200 and something. Yeah.
It's impressive anyway.
Yes.
What do you make of the research that they're doing at UCLan?
It's just amazing. Basically, I'm the 8%. I'm one of the 8% who has aggressive prostate cancer.
Right.
So it spread very, very quickly. Their test ultimately can actually pick out those people like me to say, we need to sort you out because it's aggressive. Other people, it may be a case that, you might get prostate cancer or you have prostate cancer, but it's going to be so slow growing that it probably won't affect you maybe into very, very later life, and you probably won't even die of it. So with myself, a lot of people, the early diagnosis is key to be able to treat it. Unfortunately, it was too late for me.
Did you have any symptoms?
Last April 2015, I had problems with my hip and groin and back intermittently. But before that, I actually started getting very sleepy. I would fall asleep at work, at my desk. In fact, one of my colleagues put a picture on Facebook of me just open-mouthed, completely gone, sleeping for 20 minutes. And it's sad looking back at that photograph because that's when it was taking hold, basically, and my body was trying to fight it, and I was I went with backache, and my father died of prostate cancer, and I remember him having problems with his hip and his groin, and I went to the doctor, and I mentioned that my father died of prostate cancer, and I mentioned about PSA test, but they talked me out of it, saying 70% of people who have a higher than normal PSA don't go on to have prostate cancer, false positive, false negative, and they just talked me out of it. And I was in that much pain. They gave me painkillers, and I ended up going to a chiropractor.
Right.
And I had 4 very painful sessions of trying to get my pelvis back in place because it was locked, and they kept, every time I went, they said it's still locked, and they would unlock it again. It's very painful. But basically, I had cancer in it. And I knew that I started to realise then that if it's in my bones, I haven't got a chance. So my chiropractor said, there's something not right here. Go back to your doctor, especially when I'd mentioned about my father having prostate cancer. So I went back to the doctor, and another doctor agreed to send me for a PSA test. And that came back as 92. Now, top end of normal for a man of my age is around about 4.
How old are you?
I'm 54 now. I was 53 then.
Which is really young, isn't it?
It is.
To get it?
It is really young. But when I was diagnosed, my urologist said that a week before he spoke to me, a guy who was 40 years of age, fit as a fiddle, went to the gym, suddenly his kidneys failed. And they did tests on him, and he had prostate cancer all over his body. So it's now it's getting more prevalent, and it's getting into younger people earlier than it previously did. So that there is a lot of work going on to try and find out, obviously, why.
And there's this controversy over the PSA test, isn't there? Because people go, because a lot of people who test positive are not.
Yes.
But it seems to be that is the only test we got so far.
It's the only test that we've got, of course, and it's around about 68% accurate.
Right.
Okay, so, but it's a good indication that there may be something wrong.
Right.
And the PCRMP, which is the Prostate Cancer Risk Management Programme, which is issued by the government to doctors, to GPs, to talk about, to talk with men about prostate cancer over the age of 50. Some doctors do it, listen to those guidelines and are proactive with it. My doctor wasn't.
Right.
They told us that they don't do it. So that's now just been updated. The PCRMP has actually just been updated. Prostate Cancer UK, who I'm involved with, have brought out these new guidelines, and there is a consensus form now where people who've had problems with getting a test from their doctor, and they are over 50 and they have the right to the test, can actually go to Prostate Cancer UK's website and fill in a form to say that I was turned down by my doctor, and hopefully that information will then show hotspots around the country to see where people are being talked out of it or
You're not angry?
Yeah. Yeah. I'm angry for myself and my wife, because if when I asked for the test, when I actually asked for the test, wondering could this be me? Could I have prostate cancer? It was probably too late anyway, because it had gone into my bones. But it would have been 6-8 weeks earlier that I could have been started treatment. So that could have at least prolonged my life more than because basically I went in April, asked for the test, and I was diagnosed at the back end of July, and then I started treatment. But also with PCRMP, the guidelines, a man over 50 has the right to a PSA test.
So what would you say? Yeah, what would you say to those people now who are worried,
Yes.
or maybe the women are worried about the blokes in their lives?
Absolutely.
What would you say to them now?
I would say, if you are concerned, especially if you're Afro-Caribbean, you're 4 times more likely to have prostate cancer. If you're 50 years of age and you have a immediate male family member who's had it, you're 2.5 times more likely. But if you're concerned about things like going to the toilet and spending a little bit more time just or you may be getting up in the night more times than you used to go to the toilet, or you have or you feel that you want to go but you can't, things like that, anything that just kind of rings a little alarm bells, go and see your doctor. If you're over 50, if they try and talk you out of it, it's a simple blood test. You've got the right to have the test. It's a simple blood test, and if it's done correctly, then it may give the doctor an indication of what the next step would be, basically.
Kevin, thank you very much for joining us this morning, and keep on listening to BBC Radio Lancashire, because, of course, as we mentioned a few weeks ago, we're still going to do some checks here at BBC Radio Lancashire on Darwin Street, and we'll give you those details just as soon as we sort it out. Kevin, thank you very much for joining us. Thanks a lot. It's now 19 minutes after 8.